Well, we are moving on to Karuna, uh, compassion, and we'll be spending the month on compassion,
Mhm.
yeah, on Karuna, as we roll, a month at a time, just shining the light in one corner of the Dharma after another, all things that we may have, yeah, visited in our Dharma practice, but maybe have not given that full attention. And so now it's time for Karuna, compassion, which is obviously one of the big ones. We say a corner of the Dharma. Compassion is not a corner. It's one of the wings of the bird, as they say, wisdom and compassion. Right? The two wings of the bird. It's huge, and they need each other. In this practice, they come together, but they're focused on separately as well at times. Uh, again, this with the heart practices, with the Brahma Viharas, they're so important because we can get into mind practice. Yeah, I want the truth. I want to be clear. I want to be focused. I want to be steady and focused and clear. And we can develop that to a certain extent, that kind of mindfulness, but have not necessarily a lot of heart connected with it. I know that because practice was like that for me for a long time. It took me a while to really get that. I thought if I kept being mindful that the heart would just eventually naturally show up. Yeah, and that didn't quite work that way for me. And I had to kind of like, wait a second, turn my attention towards something like self-compassion and compassion. Yeah. So Karuna is that. Uh, Obviously, we said this before. Metta, which we spent last month on, is the friendliness, is the love, the basic ground, the basic friendliness. Yeah, yeah. And compassion is the next one. They tend to go in this order. They're invited to be considered in this order. Metta always is first, and then the next one is compassion. Is compassion. Yeah. And they're different. Metta is wishing someone happiness. It's kind of the other side of the coin. It's wishing someone happiness. Uh, and Karuna is wishing someone to be removed from pain and suffering. Uh, Connected, obviously, but a little bit different focus. It's the awareness that someone is suffering or people are suffering. We can do Karuna in individual ways or group ways as well, obviously. But it's the awareness of suffering and the sensitivity to that suffering, not being overwhelmed by it, but feeling it enough, dropping into it enough to be able to feel, and then to feel from there the wish that that person's uh, suffering be relieved. Right? Wish that they would not suffer. Wish that they would not suffer. And these things this compassion is also, in my experience, very much connected with self-compassion in the sense that a little easier for me to get in touch with compassion for someone else when I'm feeling a little bit more okay about myself. You know, if I'm in a rough spot, it's a little bit more difficult to generate compassion. I can have the thought of compassion, but to generate the feeling of compassion, there has to be some feeling of basic okayness, a little bit of inner compassion developed. Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, it can be a little harder to access. If we have to see where we're at any given time with compassion, but it can be a lovely way to begin to extend. I mean, Susan and I practice this all the time because we take the subway a lot in Boston, yeah, And sometimes I get on the subway and just, I'm just wishing people basic metta, just metta, just wishing that, people would be happy. You kind of pick up a lot energetically on the subway in a very short period of time. But at other times, it's really clear we run into a lot of people who are suffering. You can really feel that and feel that. And then, the wish that their suffering be eased. It's not quite the same as metta, you know, and it's a beginning. If we're going to be working with this for a month, it's discovering that for yourself, the difference between metta and compassion. No? The difference between, again, wishing someone happiness and wishing that they be uh, the prayer that they be relieved from their suffering, that they not suffer, that they not suffer, whether it's mentally or physically, you know. And and again, with just as with metta, right? We can do that for a friend, for a family member, for ourselves, for a neutral person, a difficult person, the whole world, a whole part of the world. We can do that with compassion as well. With compassion as well. I find compassion a little bit easier to work with first with just an individual person. And don't we all know someone who's suffering? Uh, yeah, right there. That's the start. That's the starting point. We're not just wishing that person happiness, right? It's like, just like, oh, that person, that person who just got a hip replacement, no, it's that first 2 days after surgery, or that person who just got, just not certain what their diagnosis is now, but they've got some scary thing going on there. May they be, yes, yes, just dropping into that for a moment, may that person be relieved, relieved of their suffering, relieved of their suffering. Yeah, yeah. Just dropping into it for a moment. And for myself, I didn't used to invite that much into my meditation practice itself, but I do that a little bit more now. Let's set up the holding environment, get up a little bit of friendliness going on there internally, and then who do I know who's suffering? I don't have to, it doesn't take me long to find someone. Yeah, yeah. I have a couple good friends who are struggling a lot right now. One mentally and one physically with a terrible diagnosis. And I just thought, oh yeah, those two. You know, yeah. And just a moment of that, and just a moment of, what we're doing is bringing the Brahma Viharas, right? They talk about the four immeasurables. It really means we have those capacities. They are part of our affiliative nature, it is part of our nature. It's there, but we still have to cultivate it. We still have to bring it forward. Sometimes it'll arise spontaneously, but sometimes it won't arise spontaneously. And so it's one of those qualities that we want from time to time to bring forward, to bring forward. Yeah. And so we'll be inviting you to bring it forward in this way and that way through the month, through the month. And we'll have a few opportunities to do that and to invite that in, both as we're walking about, walking through the world as well. It's just like, oh yeah, when I see, they've done some research, for example, this would be a good one. I'm not sure where you live, but there are a few homeless folks in Boston. And they've done some research that for most people, when they walk by a homeless person, there's a tendency, there's something going on in the brain waves and in the heart where it's almost like they don't want to feel anything with regard to that person, almost like they're not wanting to feel any of the distress or pain that's going on there, almost blocking off from it, like, let me just get by this person, right? Have you ever had that moment within yourself and felt slightly embarrassed by it? I have. Well, so many opportunities out there to not do that, when we have the bandwidth to go, oh, just a moment. Oh, 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 may this person be uh, free of suffering. Yeah. So let's meditate together. Let's open up a little bit. When you're ready, slowing the movements down a little bit and yeah, maybe lightly closing the eyes. And forming the intention to drop down into the breath, into the body, breathing. And orienting towards settling. And of course, we want to bring heart and mind together in our meditation practice as well. That caring kind of attention, not just observing, but caring attention. And one way to get the heart more involved is to take a moment to consider someone you know who is struggling right now, in either physically or emotionally. And it's a simple wish. It's a simple prayer. It's just, may this person be more free of their suffering. May that be so. And it's keeping it relatively simple in that way, not necessarily going into uh, too much story there, but it's sending the wish nonetheless. It's a way to bring our own hearts forward into our meditation practice as we also hold this person in mind and heart. When you find that the mind has drifted away, become distracted, or swept away, the willingness to return to the next breath, the next exhale. That willingness to return to the present. And softening and allowing, making room. In the last couple of minutes in the meditation, settling back a bit more and softening. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.